they're Trump appointees. They're gonna make a huge deal. I see it coming. They got to recuse themselves for the 14th Amendment issue. What say you, sir?
That's absolutely absurd. And people have to remember that at the Supreme Court, right, when you have recusal issues, first of all, there's no recusals only are required in if there's a financial interest or if it's a family member or some sort of close personal friend. If you had this idea that just because you were appointed by by a president, you'd have to recuse, that would cripple the Supreme Court. It doesn't make any sense. It's not required. And as a practical matter, it would mean Justice Jackson should be recusing from the student loan thing, or Justice Kagan should be recusing from the Obama stuff. It just doesn't work that way. Presidents appoint justices. They're all ethical people. There's no financial, interest or that kind of stuff, no matter how close they were, beforehand. Kagan was in the Solicitor General's office, right? Was Solicitor General under Obama. So there's absolutely no reason for any of those three justices that I'm aware of, and based on these facts, that they would have to recuse.
Do they actually have a duty? Do they actually have a duty to sit for these and not recuse?
Yes. In the way that works, Steve, yes, they have a duty to sit, and I think they just articulated that in their recent code of ethics, which is the Supreme Court's different, right? And the courts below, courts of appeals, district court judges, if you have a conflict, and it's still, you should treat those as, it really has to be a conflict. But you can be a little bit sort of kind of bleed out a little bit in terms of the grayness of it, and be, more cautious and say, yeah, I'm going to recuse. Why? Because another judge can take my spot right away, right? There's 30 district court judges in a particular district, or on the courts of appeals. They sit in panels of 3, and there's probably 18 to 30 judges that could take your place if you have to sit out, right? On the Supreme Court, there are only 9 Supreme Court justices. So that's the game, right? Can we try and make somebody recuse and take them off the field? Because you literally then come down to 8 or to 7. And so it changed the whole dynamic of the court. So Supreme Court justices have a unique duty to sit, and it's recognized by everyone. It's been recognized for whatever, the history of the Supreme Court. It's just the left now, right? It's really, really important to understand is all this ethics, so-called ethics stuff, is garbage. There's nothing wrong with the Supreme Court. They have a higher approval rating than the President of the United States, than the Congress. The Congress is in the 17%, so it doesn't matter what their approval rating is. They are, particularly Justice Thomas, these assaults on him, this one the other day that was in ProPublica, it had to do with him allegedly complaining about his pay. I've never heard him complain about his pay, but it's such a ridiculous story. But they just want to try and take him out, create these issues so that people don't believe in the Supreme Court.